Obviously a very unique game. It was like we had talked about last night. It felt like a heavyweight. We felt like it would be like a heavyweight championship fight, and there would be huge blows dealt throughout the day. And talk to these guys at length about we've got to make those plays, get back to the sidelines, sit down, take a deep breath in between rounds, and go back and do it again. Especially these two over here, with how much energy they play with and how many snaps they play. So unfortunately, we shot ourselves in the foot. I think that the game comes down to 3 offensive possessions, where we kick a field goal early, we get no points on the interception. And then at the end of the first half, all those in the first half, we fumbled the ball down there in the red zone. So obviously that could be a big difference there of where that makes 18 points. So we'll go back to work. We've got some really good teams coming in here. Obviously we've got a lot to work on. Was proud of how the kids cleaned up the penalties today. I think three penalties for 25 yards or something. Obviously that's a big increase of where we've been at. So the last thing I'd close with, I think that as I watch the end of the game and as Trojan fans who won't be happy with the outcome like none of us are, I point to the second last play of the game and Robert on that play. The game's over, we can't win. And the effort that he plays in, and that's probably his 80th snap of the game, speaks a lot of these kids.
Lane, you guys in the second half were matching them and within 3 points a couple of times, and then eventually you had to punt. Was there a feeling at that point of deflation, like this is getting away if we got a punt at this point?
No, obviously we didn't want to punt. I don't know if a game's ever had 2 punts combined in it. But just kept feeling that we'd make a stop. That he'd throw us the ball again like he did earlier when he threw it to Lamar. And that we'd be, something would happen, whether we'd make a play or they would screw up on offense. And so, no, it wasn't that feeling at all. I thought we were going to win the game all the way until, the last drive there.
Were you somewhat surprised how easily they moved the ball on your defense?
Sure I was. Obviously, they've moved the ball like that on a lot of people. I didn't think they would do it on us. And credit to them. A lot of really good players. The back played great today, and the quarterback did not make many mistakes, which is unique for a freshman on the road. You'd think that there'd be more turnovers today.
Marqise, can you describe what happened on that interception in the end zone?
It's a setup.
So what? On the interception, describe what took place on that interception.
He didn't catch it. Great defense. I felt like it was a hold. But
stop with the great defense. You were good there.
Oh, all right. Well, ran a route. The player did what he did. I tried to catch the ball. Luckily, he caught it and turned over.
That was like a mugging to me.
It really was, but I'm not gonna complain about it. It's cool. I'm not much worried about it. He played great. He was holding. Yes, the ref didn't see it. We just got to continue to play from there. Our main focus from that point on was just continue to go.
Lane, you voted your team preseason #1. You have 3 losses now. How much of the onus is on the coaching staff of what's happened here this season?
All of it. That's what you do as coaches. For us to have the penalty, we fixed the penalties today. Hopefully that will continue. But for us to have the penalties that we had and the turnovers and the 3 losses, especially the first 2, where we feel like those were ahead of those games and should close those games out. And then today, screwing up. I told the players, we're not pointing fingers here. There's things I could have done better in the game. There was better situations I could have called better plays in.
You played back-to-back spread offenses, Lane. Obviously, no one's stopping Oregon in these teams, but schematically, you guys really haven't done well against these offenses. Just talk a little bit about defensively what you need to do and as a philosophical change in the order.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, if you have back-to-back games like that with over 600 yards, we've got to look at what we're doing, obviously. Somehow we've played 2 games and both teams are over 600 in both games. That's not real sound, and that's not where we want to be. So we've got to figure out. I do not have that answer for you right now, or else I would have tried to fix it during the game.
When you look at Oregon, both on film going into this game and what they did last year you guys, they did punt several times last year. Why are they executing, or is that, as you said, maybe a schematic issue?
Well, I think they're better. I think they're better. Now, we've got to play better, obviously, but I think they're better than they were a year ago because the quarterback's speed, and now what you're seeing, his efficiency in the passing game, he's playing really well. And so if you're going to play them when you have those opportunities, like when they threw he made a mistake and threw it to Lamar, we drop it. We beat the left tackle. Wes has a great sack. We've got to find a way to make that a sack cost fumble. You have to make, whenever you play a great team, you've got to make those type of plays in those critical situations because those are game-changing plays, much like the three possessions we talked about on offense.
Coach, I know sometimes it's difficult to bring positives out of losses, but you have to be happy how the offense was able to move the ball up and down the field in a top 5 team.
Yeah, the first thing we point to is the 3 possessions. We should have done a better job, myself and these guys up here. We could have done better. But I do think, obviously, that there was a lot of really good in the offense's performance today because it's not like that's, a team that is in blowouts all the time or high-scoring affairs all the time. That nobody's really moving the ball on them throughout the year. That they're blowing people out by halftime, and you start looking at average per play. They were one of the better teams in the country, and today, they went 8-8 to play. We went 7-7 to play, and over the course of the season, we're probably about dead even as average per play on the offense. So I was proud, obviously, of the production throughout the game outside of those couple series.
Coach, can you just talk about? I'm sure you have mentioned this, but you scored 52 points. You expect to win that game. Can you talk about playing against an offense like that?
Yeah, that's obviously a unique conversation, to have. But I feel like we should have done better on offense. And so you always got to look at yourself. It could have put us in a better situation at the end of the half. The last series there. So we've got to continue to work hard and do better. And then we can look at ourselves on the turnovers too. The yards. Back-to-back games over 600 yards of offense, and the quarterback. I don't know if he broke his own record again today. And 7 days away from each other, throwing for 460 and 480 or something. And then Marqise probably has 500 yards in the last 2 games. But with all that stuff, we can still go back and fix some things. We fixed third down efficiency today. We were much better today than we had been. But the turnovers, we still have 3 turnovers.
Matt, Coach, did you envision, or was that the plan for Nelson to have as big a role as he had today?
Yeah, we really felt that Nelson would have a really big game today. Just because we knew that there was going to be focus on these 2 guys, especially after last week. They had the most yards in the history of a combination of receivers in the history of the school. So they get paid too to coach, and so they're going to come out and try to shut down 9 and 2. And so we had some things in for Nelson, and he played great.
Are you convinced that next time you play these guys that you can't have any empty possessions? Like you have to score every single time?
No, I don't think so. You got to stop them. You can't play somebody and think that they're going to score every single time and you're going to score every time. We got to make those. Like we said, there's a couple plays in there that could change the game. And then we're still in the game on the onside kick too. Our guys did a great job of executing that.
Matt, how do you put into words being 6-3, coming back for unfinished business, and putting 51 up against Oregon and still losing?
I'd say that we still got a lot of football left, and the season is not over, and we got games left, and just got to make the most of those. And you never want 3 losses, in the beginning of November, but at this point in the season, our focus is on Arizona State and Arizona State only.
Matt, you could see the frustration, though, on your face on the sidelines throughout the whole game. Can you kind of express the disappointment that you're feeling and maybe where you thought this season was going to go?
I don't know about frustration or disappointment. We knew it was going to be a shootout, and we kind of going to echo Coach Kiffin's words about, I felt like we had to play perfect on offense to score every drive, and those 3 drives that were not productive came back to hurt us. And so I thought our guys put up a valiant effort, especially at the end with how they finished that drive. Robert and all of those guys, we were moving the ball, and ultimately, it wasn't a good enough effort.
In retrospect, Matt, do you think you tried to do too much on that play where you evaded the sack and then threw it and had it picked?
Probably, in my mind, I thought I was getting it to the outside. I didn't want the ball to get tipped when I turned my shoulders like that. That's what kind of like it was a weird release. But it's worse than a pick. So.
Matt, from the big picture, did you feel like you've progressed from last year to this year? You've obviously put up huge numbers 2 weeks in a row. You probably have a few more interceptions than you would like. Just from the big picture, do you feel like you've made a jump from last year to this year?
In certain ways, yeah, absolutely. In the things that I wanted to, and there's always going to be stuff that I'm, going to have to get better at. And I think we've done a great job of moving the ball since the beginning of the season, which was something we needed to fix, and we have. And just got to do a better job of putting the ball in the end zone.
Matt, how do you make sure these guys don't get too down about the losses?
You take 24 hours to take it in, just like you would a great win, and you come back. We'll watch the tape on Sunday and come back Tuesday fired up as ever.
Do you think
questions? Matt, is this about as balanced as this offense has been? I mean, you mixed it up to Randall and Xavier and Silas had some runs. Is this about as balanced as you guys have been last year?
This game, I don't know. I'm not really when I'm out there. I'm not thinking about keeping it balanced or only throwing to one or two receivers. Sometimes it just happens to be that way. In this case, other receivers caught the ball, but I'm going through my progressions and just trying to get the ball into a wideout or whoever's hands, and just happened to be that way today.
Matt, you were kind of asked this earlier, but is it hard to wrap your mind around scoring 51 points and losing?
Knowing who you're playing, it kind of puts it in perspective. Oregon's been doing this all year, and so we knew it was going to be a shootout like this. And I think we did leave points on the board, which is what I'm thinking about.